Hello, hello. Good evening. Welcome to Moving People to Action, a social media platform that really focus on having conversations and discussions that's very pointed to move us to making decisions, getting involved, and ultimately moving people to action. Tonight, we're going to focus on mentoring. We want to thank our sponsor, 100 Black Men of Omaha. There's probably about over 120 chapters throughout the United States, but of course, Omaha is the best chapter in these United States of America. Um, our contributor tonight is Raheem Sanders. He's the president CEO of PPRP Innovations. And I want to just get started because we have a great panelists, and I want to give them all the time that we need that's necessary to get our point across. Hey, welcome, Raheem. Brother Sanders, how you doing, sir?
All is well. How you doing, my good man?
Man, I feel good. I feel like, I mean, no kidding, man. I feel like Tony the Tiger, man. I feel great.
Hey,
I mean, here in the Midwest, I mean, in Omaha, Nebraska, this place we call the good life. The sun is shining. The sun was shining today. And I tell you right now, in the midst of COVID-19, Brother Sanders, I chase the sun.
hey, that's what I like to.
That natural, I mean, you're the beverage man too. So that natural, fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, getting your natural, vitamins and minerals from all types of sources. That's what I like to hear. So yeah, congrats on that.
Right on, right. Hey, but we're here. Let's kick off and set the tone for the conversation tonight. We have a wonderful panelist, but really, this is mentoring month. January is mentoring month, and so why don't you kick us off in terms of your thoughts around mentoring and really share, if you would, share your thoughts about really the impact and how having a mentor, how that has really helped you in terms of your navigation and so we can get this feeling, but really what's happening in the world of the state of mentoring. This is mentoring month.
All right. So in honor for Mentor Month, let's kick it off with a little bit of data. So let's think about the United States. So in the United States, there's over 46 million young people. And when I say young people, we're talking about the youth, okay, between 8 and 18 that, that are living in America. But 16 million of them are growing up without a mentor. So to translate that, 1 in 3 young people are currently in America right now growing up without a mentor. And that studies have shown that kids who grow up without a mentor, they aren't exposed with a lot of things that they need to grow into the persons that they're going to be. So from the data, those without a mentor are less likely to enroll in college or advance into higher education. They're less prepared to pursue professional careers, and they're more likely on a day-to-day basis, uh, receive and address challenges that put them at risk for falling off track. So youth mentoring is really important. It's really essential because in most cases, that mentor-mentee relationship for a lot of young people is the first strong and meaningful personal connection that they make that can be forged between a young person and a mentor. So it's a really important, impactful thing in young people's lives having a mentor. So let's
Yeah, yeah.
what the state of it is today.
Okay. So from your perspective, what do we need to do or what do we need to know to move forward?
All right. So I think one of the most important things is that we need to know, most importantly, that mentorship and mentoring creates these meaningful connections that can positively impact the lives of both the mentor and the mentee. Those who that receive mentorship are more likely to be excelling in their academics and and then social lives, and the economic lives as well. And those who mentor, they're able to further build important leadership skills and management and creative skills while giving back to their community. So mentorship is really important because that is core. It guarantees that young people are being exposed to someone who can provide some valuable information and experience into their lives to help them be great in the world. And I think that's the whole focus of right now. How do we prepare our youth so that no matter the challenges, because we're in the middle of a pandemic, how do we prepare our youth to be great in the world? And that's what mentorship is all about.
Yeah, and when you think about it and what you said, Raheem, preparing our youth, if there ever was a time that we need that type of relationship of helping our young people navigate what's going on, not only you mentioned just one pain point, that was the pandemic. But look at what's happening in terms of social injustice. Our young people had this, to see a Floyd, murdered in the middle of the street, and all of the unrest in terms of that, and then they had to see a insurrection. What the heck is that?
Yeah, and that's just one segment. You have the social injustice. There's a lot of families going through financial crises, and that's having a major impact on the youth. There's a lot of environmental factors that a lot of the youth are growing up in. There's communities that are filled with pollution, and we take it down to the little things, like just one young person that want to aspire to go to college and be something great. They may be in an environment that there's a lot of challenges. They don't have that knowledge and that perspective to, really overcome it. So mentorship is really important because that mentor can provide something to that child that, maybe they would not get in their normal environment. And you mentioned a question earlier, and I think we're going to end on this note. But in terms of me, I wouldn't be the person that I am today without a mentor. I had some very valuable mentors in my life. Shout out to Dr. Phyllis and Siakumi and, my brother Brian Spells, because without them, forming and shaping my mind, understanding the world so that I can grow and be the person that I am supposed to be. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do that. So mentorship is important, not only for everybody, but, it's had an impact on my life as well.
That's what's up. That's what's up. What we're going to do, man, I tell you, this is a great subject, and I'm really excited to get into discussion with our panelists. And so what I would like to do, let's take a short break. I think we have our sponsors a commercial to run. Let's do that, and then we'll bring our panelists on and let the games begin. Thank you so much, Mr. Sanders. I appreciate you, brother. But one of the things I know, we may get a chance to get to it later on, but I appreciate you. This with this COVID-19, I did contract the virus, and I must say, man, I had very mild. Thank God, I had very mild symptoms, but really, what helped get me through that 5 days, 10 days was cleanse the beverage. Okay. Those natural, and I appreciate you customizing with some aronia berries, really to help strengthen and help really strengthen my immune system and get me back up and going. So I appreciate you, brother. With that, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about mentoring and how that's affecting the lives of so many young people, but more in terms of, it's just not about the young people. It's about the adults, because one of the things about the 100, our sponsor tonight, is about mentoring across a lifetime. So we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
I don't have to worry about it. My dad still has a head
Hey,
full of
gentlemen. We are live. We're back. We're in it. And I want to welcome you all to Moving People to Action with tonight's town halls focusing on mentoring. And thank you. I want to thank the executive director, Mr. Marcus Bell. Thank you for your leadership and being a sponsor of Moving People to Action. Our focus on the people are rising. And what are they rising to? Really what we need to do, what's next, and how do we impact not only our youth, but how do we impact, really adults. And one of the things I really want to start with you, Marcus, in terms of one of the things that's so strong about the 100 Black Men of America, they've taken on this notion that, not only that we have to mentor young people, but we got to mentor across a lifetime.
Right.
And so talk about, really, for the folks that are not familiar with the 100 Black Men, talk a little bit about the mission, purpose, and how you guys get down.
Right. 100 Black Men of Omaha, we originated 26 years ago with a group of men who wanted to take care of the community, wanted to make it a better Omaha. So our mission is to improve the quality of life in Omaha. We do that by our mentoring and our educational programs. We teach our youth to be respectful, responsible, and ready to lead. That is one of our mottos. And also, when you talk about mentoring, it is about what they see is what they'll be. So they look at and another adult who's mentoring them, they look at them and say, "Hey, I see myself in that person," right? So when you're talking about a black young male, he's looking at a black male adult, and he's seeing himself. He's seeing that he can eventually achieve what that person is achieving. He is seeing a blueprint for his life. So it's our job as black men to lead the way, not just by what the things we say, by the things we do. So it's very important that we're leading by example and we're living out what we say, because they will not just hear what we say. They won't do as we say. They'll do
Yeah,
as we do. So,
yeah.
yeah, 100 Black Men is been around for 26 years, and we're proud to be in the community and doing the work as leading our youth with promise.
So thank you so much, man. I think when you're in that leading and being purposeful in terms of just, I love that whole thing, young or youth with a promise.
Right.
It takes all of the negative overtones and focus on, we are engaged and in front of a group of individuals that really our future, our hope, and thus that's our young people. So as we think about that, I know we have Eric on. Eric, are you still currently serving as a program chair for the 100 Black Men?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So really, when you talk about, really your experience, and also I want to thank you for leading a great organization, Great Plains Black History Museum, and your leadership there. I think if we don't know where we came from, how do you navigate what's
where you going? Yeah.
Where you're going? And so, when you think about historically as Black people, mentoring is not new to us, and so I think, we're in a position now where we need more mentors. But talk about really your why in terms of just why are you doing?
Well, it's necessary. You, as you mentioned, the panelists here have all had various levels of success throughout their life, and to have that success and not turn back and reach back to help others. I don't think you're doing it for the right reason. If you're just worried about getting to the top and you don't want to then turn around and say, okay, I'm here, let me bring others with me, then I just think you're doing an injustice to the community, and you're doing an injustice to our youth.
Right on. Mr. Bailey, talk about your why. I mean, what's your why?
When I think about mentoring, now I'll just address the first couple of minutes that we had here. And what you heard was some reality. We had some brothers who were getting together, enjoying some time together. That's something that is really a lost art. And passing on that art is a part of really the mentoring piece. Uh, we don't think about some of the really simple things, just the stories, the history, that those really important things that are get lost in when you're trying to translate it in a book, or you're trying to translate it in anything other than true face-to-face or screen-to-screen contact, as we have right now. And then the other part of it is just a lot of what Eric's saying is just it's passing on your blessing. You know, we are all have had some amazing things that have happened in our lives. We have those successes, but being able to have a representation in any area that we represent really helps the next generation see that, you know, well, that goes back to the 100. You know, what they see is what they'll be. There aren't a lot of people in my area of finance and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I get to be that beacon and sharing my stories, being able to shepherd people through. That's a huge why for me.
Yeah, right on. Mr. Wilson, Brian, what's on your mind, man, in terms of your why?
Oh man, I share the same sentiment as the brothers that spoke before me, but I think especially in the African American community, I think the tribal knowledge and the knowledge share is very important. For me, I've had several mentors in my life, and I've always kind of paid it forward or had the mentality of not bringing the ladder up, but pushing the ladder down. That's not saying that the people that we mentor are down at a certain level, but it's the certain knowledge that we share and we pass on to some of the youth. One of the things that you said, and one of the things I was kind of thinking about is that, you know, how has mentoring changed? I don't think mentoring specifically has changed as being a non-biased or non-judgmental lending ear, but I think we talked about kind of what's going on in the society today. And what I was thinking about is I was thinking more on social media. You know, 20 years ago, if you said, hey, somebody's getting cyberbullied, you might not even know what that means. But today, everybody knows what cyberbullying means. So I don't think, for me, I think staying current with the times, and I can learn just as much from my mentee than they can learn from me. So the why for me, like I said, is all encompassing. And I always think that we're on this earth to do more than just for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that was instilled from my grandmother a long time ago in Missouri. So that's my why. So that's my long short answer.
Yeah. And really, and that's good. That's good, Brian, because, you know, I think back in the day, I mean, really, when you think about we're on this earth, why are we here? Absolutely. And it's more about what we leave, not take. Right. And it's about what we give. And so, you know, the old mothers of the church used to say, you know, if I can help somebody,
that's right.
You know, as I travel along the way, then my living shall not be in vain.
That's right.
You know, and you know, that's just so true in terms of if you really recognize that you hear more in terms of the give. And so with my man Wayne Hudson, you looking all work bound. You got your uniform on there. And so what is your why? I know you've been in it for a long time, and thank you for service. But I really look at anyone that puts a uniform on every day and they commit to really serving and protecting us. We have to pause and say gratitude and thank you. So I appreciate your years of service. But talk to us about your why.
Thank you, Tim, very much. Well, as we were sitting here talking, I actually added up the years that I've been doing this, and it comes out to be 33 years I have been a mentor of some type. 33.
Well, that's a long time, man.
33. From back in my days when I was in the military, stationed in England is when I first started. That young man now is grown. He's doing very well. He's married, has kids. When I go back to England, I see him. My why is why not? Okay. My why is because our kids need this. All kids growing up don't have the benefit of coming from a two-parent home. Some kids growing up don't have the benefit of having a father figure in their life showing them simple things, fatherly things, how to tie a tie, how to tie a knot on a fishing pole, how to get out, how to be a man, how to take care of your family. Okay. So that's why I get really engaged in being a mentor, because I'm tired of seeing our young men out there with no guidance, with no direction, no focus. That's one reason. The other reason why I do it is because I'm passionate about bridging that gap between law enforcement and our community. Our youth want to do that. And I want our youth to see me in this uniform as someone who's human, with the uniform on and off. So that's my why. I love doing it. I love spending time with the kids. And I think, like Brian said, I get just as much out my youth, my mentees, that I think they get from me. That's why there was a need here recently to pick up a second mentee. I got a second one. You know, because again, that need is out there. We have some in our community who need direction, and I think that's our responsibility.
Right on. Appreciate you, brothers. We have brother Malcolm. Malcolm, how you doing, my man? Say hi to the people. Well, let's go ahead.
I'm doing good. Thank you. How you doing?
That's good. Malcolm, in terms of your role, I mean, you work for the 100 Black Men. Kind of talk a little bit about your role and responsibility, and then really let's go ahead and have you talk about really your why and motivation around mentoring.
So I am the mentor and match coordinator with the 100 Black Men, and my job is basically to help train and find mentors. Not just any mentor. We want to put positive role models, Black role models in front of our youth with a promise. So that's my job, to really kind of go through the community, find the Tim Clarks, find the Guillermo Baileys, find the Wayne Hudsons, find, the Brian Wilsons, the Eric, Ewings, and say, hey, you've done this. We really want you to come and give back to our youth and show them the way, the path. For me, I've been born, raised in Omaha, Nebraska, North Omaha, been in my whole life. And before I realized what mentoring was, it was always somebody older guiding you, telling you, hey, don't do this. Hey, don't hang around them guys over there. Don't do this. You have potential in you. You have this in you. And they were speaking life into me. Even going to church and having people in church just latch onto you and take you and teach you how to fish when they realized, my father passed away when I was 12. So it was other men that stepped up and guided me through.
That's that village. That village. Right on.
Yes.
So go ahead. Are you finished there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say that let's open it up. Let's open it up in terms of, so when you think about, fellas, there's a lot of men out there that have hesitation. They're very reluctant to, because there's something about formalizing it, saying, hey, I'm a mentor. But I think we naturally mentor. But for folks out there that just on the fence and they really kind of like, this word mentoring is kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to do it. How do I do it? Talk to folks out there that may have some reservations. Who wants to start? Go ahead.
I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and hop in here. I heard something recently that said it was about mentoring, and a lot of times we have this vision in our mind that it's all about going and getting ice cream and going and playing basketball and doing all of these fun things. But sometimes it can be tough. And this is the thing that I want people to truly understand. It's not about you coming to save a young man. It's not about saviorism. Mentoring is more of standing by that young man, no matter what they are going through, and walking along beside them and supporting them, no matter what. Because at the end of the day, our young people, some of them have had people walk in and out of their lives. That's the last thing they need is another person to walk
Oh,
in.
that's so key. Walk in and out of their lives. Consistency. Wow.
Exactly, consistency. So when you walk into their lives, it's not to save them, it's to be there, walk beside them, listen to them. That's the biggest thing you can do is listen, because our young people just need someone to talk to and to listen to them. So walking beside them no matter what happens in their life, because they might not always go
Yeah.
down the right path.
Yeah.
We're there to guide them, but if they go down a different path, let's be there walking beside them to be able to say, "Hey, I'm here for you. No
Yeah.
matter what, I got your back."
Anybody else want to expound on that?
Well, to
Brother
kind of
Brian?
tag along on
I'll
that,
go ahead
what
and say
Marcus
something.
said.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
No,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to kind of reiterate what Marcus was saying, and what Tim was saying. You know, some people have reservations of becoming a, you know, the mentors just kind of shy away from it because it's like, okay, what do I have in common with a young man? But the thing is that we've all have been 17 at one time. We all have been 16 at one hard time. We've all had some maybe had their first heartbreak, or maybe they had issues with a coach, or whatever that may be. So you don't have to relate. They don't have to be able to relate to you at this point that you're at, but maybe you can share some of the experiences that you have went through and how did you handle those things. And it's not it doesn't have to be a long drawn out thing. It doesn't take that much time. Sometimes me and my mentee, sometimes I'll just FaceTime and say, "Hey, what's up?" And he's like, "What's up?" You know, and just that saying what's up and just checking on him goes a long way. And I can tell you just a personal, just real quick, is that my mentee is very quiet. And his aunt came to me, "Does he talk to you?" I was like, "Of course he does." And so it got to the point where now he's calling me. So for me, it's different levels, you know? And so I'm just excited that he calls me now. So now we have this relationship. So I'm just excited to hear from him, see what's going on. "Hey, how was your day?" Checking on cars, you know, education or sports. So it's just a relationship. He's an extension of my family.
Plus, it does go like somebody said. You know, we get just as much out of it as they do. So it's both ways, and it's that when it becomes magical when it catches them. It's like he's calling you, and sometimes it took Brian. It took me a while to kind of get used to that. Because I was thinking my mentee. It was like he's calling me, and I'm like, yeah, I was just like, dang, and he was just, "I'm calling you, Mr. Clark, to check on you."
That is a sign of success, Tim. And it might be small to somebody, but that was huge to me. It almost brought tears in my eyes because he went out of he's like, "Listen, I'm going to call." He could have called his friends. He could have hung on, whatever it is. He called me because he had a connection with me. So I really, as far as the 100, this is the most important thing for me in the organization. And as you guys know me, I take it serious, and I'm just so happy to be a part of it.
Right on. Now, did you have something you wanted to weigh in on that, or Mr. Bailey, or anybody else want to weigh in on that? And then I want to get to really, I want to continue to talk about things that may be troubling people about mentoring. And so I have some other questions around helping people to really understand it, and so we can begin to remove some of those fears that they have in terms of mentoring. So go for it, you guys. Help me out.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk a little bit about it too. So when I think about mentoring, I think about, a few organizations that we're all have ties to on this call. But I'll really speak to the 100. There's a lot of that fear about mentoring comes from just the unknown. It is what it is. I understand that. But what I think people don't understand is you have people like a Malcolm Tiller who's here to not just throw you to the wolves and say, "Well, you get what you get, and I hope that works for you." There's a very careful matching process that's going into this mentor-mentee relationship. So no one's really blindsided. There's matching. There's an opportunity to sit down and just have a conversation before that mentoring relationship is finalized. And all of us have been through that process, and it's a very if I can't think of a better word, loving process. You know, maybe that's not where the match is made. Maybe there's another mentor who fits better. But once you even get past that, none of us are perfect, not even close.
That's right. Yeah.
We're not asking for perfection. I'm sure my mentee does not expect perfection from me because he's not getting it. And I don't get perfection.
You know, like you're talking about, that match is important, and it's really almost kind of like a relationship. You know, first you kind of like, I don't know you, you don't know me, but how do we get to know each other? And I think what maybe Malcolm can speak to this really, because you said that we're very careful in terms of just and paying attention and being very intentional about the match. So talk to us about that, Malcolm, in terms of just what do we do? What should they anticipate in terms of match and training? So do we just put them, because they're not born with skill sets to mentor, right? So talk to us about that.
So what we try to do, make sure we do, is we try to get the kids' interests as well as things that they like. They when they fill out their orientation form. So we have a lot of their information already, and we have our mentors' interests also of things that they like and they're interested in. So if we see that photography is something that you love to do, and we have mentors that own a photography studio, we're not going to match them with the guy that loves basketball and he hates sports. You know what I'm saying? We try to make sure it's a match, you know. And then some things happen organically during our match meeting. Like we had one match, and the mentor was talking, and he was like, "Oh, you know, sometimes," he was just trying to break the ice with the kid. He said, "Sometimes I'm sitting at home watching anime," and the kid like sparked up and was like, "You don't watch anime?" And then they started like literally naming off characters, and for like 10 minutes, I was like this for 10 minutes on the call, because they was really like going back and forth, and you could see the bond, the walls coming down, because they found something naturally that they both love that neither one of them put on their form. But it is a process that we like to do. The one thing I really believe, I think a lot of people say, I don't have the time. That's the biggest thing.
Talk about that. I hear that a lot. They don't think they have the time.
They don't think they have the time.
Break that down in terms of time expectations. Really, I would love to hear from you guys too. How much time are you guys putting into it?
So we, at the very bare minimum, we ask for 4 hours a month. Now that's 4 hours, bare minimum, 4 hours. As every mentor on this call will be able to tell you, it might start off at 4 hours, and then the relationship that you build with them, and I think Brian Wilson said they become an extension of your family. Now the hours that you're spending with them, it increases, because now the bond has been growing, because we don't expect to match you then on tomorrow that y'all become best friends. That's not how this works. You don't meet anyone and then you just become best friends the next day. You grow between conversations. You start off with phone calls. You might start off with text messaging. You might start off with, "Hey, oh, you're playing sports, I'm gonna come see you at your game," or, you know, different things. Or, "Let's go to this event in the city." Well, the Hunter has events. Let's go to the event together. We had a bowling event. We do fishing. We do different things to help that bonding, helping. So after a while, those 4 hours, because we all can waste 4 hours doing anything, you know. So it can increase, but the bare minimum is 4 hours. So when people say they don't have time should never be your excuse for not mentoring.
Now, do you help, like, or maybe some of you guys can share, you know, because some people's reservation is like, I don't want to get into a tough situation where I got to talk to a kid about, you know, sex, or talk to them about, you know, they're being disrespectful to their mom, you know, or just, have you ever been in very complex situations where you got to figure out how to have a conversation with your mentee?
And I'm going to address that one right now, because I'm going through that right now.
Okay.
So what Marcus said earlier, and I think it's so true, you can't walk in and walk out. Okay. You be intentional with these young kids, because they probably had that before. They probably had people walk in and walk out of their life. So my mentee, my first mentee I have, great kid. I mean, we bonded right away. We went fishing, and I've taken my target shooting, and like Mark was saying, he's an extension of my family. So recently he's had some problems. Now he's had some problems at school, had some problems at home, but never both at the same time. So like you said, how do you have those hard conversations? The nice thing is this young man's mother knew he was having problems, reached out and said, I don't know what to do. This is what's going on. And she said, I know this isn't your problem, but I wanted to let you know. I said, no, not a problem. I'll be over. Went over, talked to him. And this whole thing was, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So we sat down, had a good conversation, and just kind of wrote it all out. Now he's since had another setback. So, you know, it's being intentional. When I get done with this thing tonight, I'm going over to his house and have another conversation. And it's all conversation. As far as time, what I found, I think Guillermo does the same thing. You know, you can do an hour a week, but I end up grabbing my mentees on the weekend, and I have them 5, 6, 7 hours. And because we're doing things, we're out and about doing civic things. I want them to do things in the community that they normally wouldn't do. I want them to see parts of this community that they normally wouldn't see. It's all about being intentional.
Intentional. I like that.
I got to jump on that one.
I think that's incredible, Wayne, especially with your position and also how busy you are. The time that you're taking out to mentor a young man or young men. I mean, you have 2 mentees. You probably have mentored people informally, even more than those 2. So just hats off to you for what you do for our youth. So Guillermo, I think you had something that you wanted to say as well. So
You said part of what I was going to say too. I mean, if Wayne has time, everybody has time. That's all it comes down to. And you know, he does a tremendous job of constantly spending time with his mentees. I have one. You know, I'm like, wow, I think I'm doing okay. But you know, it's not just about having your individual mentee. You know, when we get together and we have these opportunities to do things that are really through the 100, there are a lot of mentees. There are a lot of mentors there. This isn't about just taking it all on your own shoulders. This is about really sharing the load. So there's some things I'll reach out to Wayne, or I can reach out to Marcus, or I can reach out to Brian or Eric, and I can say, hey, you know, here's what's going on with my mentee. How do I handle this? So you don't have to think about this as being a solo venture. This is a community piece, and the mentoring isn't just from us to the mentee or the mentee to us. It is the community of mentors and mentees together.
Yep. And I say you have to be intentional. You know, just like anything else, you have to be intentional. You know, you plan things for work, you plan this and that. Planning an hour, something as simple as, well, you know what, I'm going to go to lunch. I'm going to go up to my mentee's school and have lunch with them. Something as simple as that. You know, we zoom out in front of the TV 4 or 5 hours a night. And you mean to tell me we don't have an hour to make an impact and a difference in someone's life?
Yeah.
You know, it's not rocket science. It's not hard unless you make it hard. Right. You know, what's hard about trying to develop a friendship and a relationship where you can have an impact on someone's life?
Right.
And I think some people think that being a mentor, you got to take the kid here and take the kid there. No, I go get my mentee, bring them to the house. We'll watch a football game. We'll watch a basketball game. You know, we'll go for a walk.
Yeah. Yeah. You find ways to just make that engagement part of your natural progression in terms of life. And my mentees, I don't know about you guys, but they love to eat. They eat a lot, Dad. I took one to get some chicken, and I'm trying to guide him and kind of like, well, you know, get you a 2-piece. I mean, will that be enough? He kind of looked at me and started smiling. He's like, I eat a lot of chicken, and I'm getting my 4-piece or whatever. But so that's just, and it's just not all about really what you monetarily get. It's that time and building that relationship.
Right.
So when you think about it as Black men, and we talked about early on in terms of what's in front of us, there's a whole lot of mental and anxiety, stress, and kids, our young people are going through that just like we are.
Right.
So really, when you think about what's in front of us, especially for we're a mentoring organization, why is it so important that people that may be out there watching this or listening to this, that they give real consideration to becoming a mentor? What's your thoughts around that?
I'll say this. What kind of community do you want to live in? Okay. Do you want to live in a community where we have our youth that are doing the things they should be doing? We don't have a lot of the crime in the community. We don't have a lot of the kids misbehaving. What type of community do you want to live in? If you can just spend some time with some of the youth in our community, you can really change their direction, change their life some. I think Marcus said it earlier. I'm not there to be a parent. I'm there to walk with them, to help them, guide them. Growing up, I wasn't the best kid in school. Everybody who went to St. Mark Church knows that.
Hey, I'm a witness. I went to St. Mark Church, okay, and we have to talk about that offline,
If I can go from someone in high school who teacher said I'd be dead before I'm 21 to the second in command of my sheriff's office, then why can't I turn around and grab someone else, a young kid that looks like me, and do the same thing?
Yeah, and speak to all these things that we're going through. I can't. I need a therapist. I'm keeping it real. So just imagine our young people trying to navigate life by themselves, and no males, positive males in front of them. And so I think somebody said it. It's not like you got to be in this all by yourself. I don't know, Gibral, I don't know who said that, but it's just like you don't have to do this by yourself, and so again, this is a platform to have conversations that move to solutions, right? So when you think about the need out there, not just in Omaha, but when you think about nationally what we're going through, what do you think, Malcolm, in terms of just, do we provide, is there a training, national training? How do people get skilled up to be able to do this? Because, like we said before, they're not born with these skills. You have some people are naturally, but I think a lot of mentoring takes place with us not calling it mentoring, but we're mentoring.
So we do have training we try to provide for the mentors, especially for, we have some that's out that never mentored before in their life, but they want to. So we try to break it down to the simplest form, as you say, is, I think Eric said it, it's not rocket science. We don't want you to overthink it. Like, don't go into it thinking like, I gotta, you hear about, because they'll tell you what they're going through. My dad is not here, or they're here, he's busy, or whatever it may be. You're not there to replace a parent. You're not there to replace, those things, but you're there as, like Marcus said, as support. So we try to break it down and say, once you become friends with someone, it's an onion. It's just peeling layers back each time with them. So we're just getting you there to help you get those layers peeled back. And then that's where we get the more and more we come together as a group of mentors and say, hey, what problem have you been coming across? And then another mentor might say, I dealt with that last month. This is what I did. This is how I handled it. We have mentors that have mentees that's going through the same thing at school, so they can come together and talk about it, or bring their mentee to help mentor them also with that.
Right on. How do you? But how do you, Eric, or anybody can? How do you break the ice? Some of the folks may be out there saying, how do you get a conversation started? Here, there's 30 years difference in age, and you don't have no teenagers at home, and you want me to mentor a 15-year-old that think nothing's, they think they know it all. How do you break the ice?
So, Tim, did you ask me that because I'm probably the oldest person on the panel? Is that why you said my name?
Hey, I'm not gonna respond to that.
The one thing about mentoring, though, it allows you to stay young. You can be as silly or whatever as you want. You can have fun right along with them. So it's just about you being you. Because again, from a mental standpoint, when we're at work, we have to have that professional hat on, and we have to do those things. But this is an opportunity for you to hang out with a young person, to kind of stay in the groove and find out what's happening, and just have a good time right along with them.
Right on.
We think sometimes it's just benefiting them. But hey, it benefits us as well. At least it benefits me.
I tell you, with one of my mentees, and that is so true. I learned so much from this dude. And just, here, I know, this is streaming, live. And so people could be in other states. But this place we call North Omaha, when I take this, my mentee, and we drive, he know about every single neighborhood, and he's 16 years old. I'm like, how do you know all this? It's like a world inside of another world. So I think if you're willing, and I think we've said it over and over, you can get just as much out of it than they can. So you go into there that this is just like relationship. It's like you bring value, both bring value to the table, and you got to give them permission to bring that value. And like I think, Brian, you said it, your mentee is like the mom or the aunt. Somebody said, hey, does he talk to you?
Well, Tim, and I know we're running on time, but I wanted to say something. And this is, one of the things I want to say is that this is just a beautiful sight to see us as Black men that are taking the time to do this, because a lot of times there's this stereotype that we aren't present and we aren't doing these things, but we are here.
That's right.
So what I want to say is that I think as us, the generation that's passing to us, we have to look at this as an obligation, not just something that we're just doing for spare time, but this is a serious thing for me. And like I said, I get emotional about it because it's the generations before us that didn't have the ability to do certain things that we did. So we don't want to take those things for granted. So we always should want to pay this forward, especially in our community. So for me, I take it as an obligation, and I hold brothers accountable to that. And if I see them, hey, brother, what are you doing? Hey, what are we doing? So I think that's what we have to start doing too. Not just mentoring the youth, but we need to start looking at each other and say, listen, hey, this is an obligation because we are in this position. We're blessed to be in this position. So, what do they say? They say with power comes great responsibility, right?
That's right.
So I think that we have to take that as an obligation to say, listen, our forefathers before us did things to get us to be here, to be able to talk on this Zoom call and share this knowledge. So it's an obligation. And I think that we all share that. And I think that's something that's very important to me.
Yeah. I think to that point, I think our existence is dependent upon our ability to grab someone and bring them along. And I think it's and you said it, especially as Black men, it's our responsibility with what's going on in this world, and particularly these United States, it really is forced upon us, and we have to stand. If Black men don't stand and be accounted for and really help guide our village, why? Why are we here? And so as we close, man, I wish we could keep going, but
Hey,
this is beautiful.
looks like we have a question in the chat. So
Okay,
I did want to
brother
hear what you had to
Raheem,
say.
when we look in terms of Facebook and other places and see if there's any questions, and if we can have you come on and really help us sift through all the questions that's coming on. Okay, brother Raheem, welcome back. Welcome back. So what do we have out there in terms of what people are talking about? And if there's any questions, go ahead and let's go ahead and sign off on the questions.
All right, we got one question here. It says the question, someone who doesn't have sons in the mentorship program, what can you tell me that will convince their parents to enroll their sons? How does the program will work, and does it provide a sports program for the kids?
Somebody want to take that?
I'll speak on how, on what would convince parents that don't have their sons in the mentorship program. I think we do a very good job of not only the one-to-one matching, but while kids are waiting to get matched, building environments on the weekends and building environments throughout the month that are part of group mentoring, right? So you're around different mentors throughout our weekends where we have our Real Talk program. So that's available to all the youth who want to enroll into the program. And you're not just around us, you're around different other young people. And so I think it's just very, very important that, they get to see us on the weekends on our second and fourth Saturday when we have our Real Talk sessions. And we expose them to different things as far as career readiness. We talk to them about getting ready for that next step in their life, whether that may be college, whether that may be the trades, or maybe that's just going straight into a job, going into the workforce. Because college isn't for everybody, and that's just fine. We want to be able to walk along with them throughout whatever they do. So we try to expose them to different things as far as education, career readiness, and then also our mentors are around them on the weekends to be able to have that group environment where we just have real talk and real conversation.
Yeah. I don't know, Raheem, if you wanted to. There's some like there's more questions in the chat here as you're gathering them. Want somebody go ahead and take a shot at explain the difference between being a mentor versus a sponsor.
That's a good question.
You want to take that one, Wayne? Wayne?
I'll see what I can do. Mentor is someone that you are guiding to help with certain things. For example, I went through a 2-year mentor program through the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. And that's to help me become a law enforcement CEO. So to become in that position. A sponsor is someone who sees you and knows that you already have the skills and knows you have the education, everything you need. And what they're doing is they're help opening up those doors for you. They may sponsor you for a job or sponsor you for some advanced training. They're getting you in a position to get your career or get where you would like to go. Mentor.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. And I would add, I know my brother MP Martavius, but in terms of just, I think I would add one. I think when you think about this whole cycle of relationship of mentor, I think a mentor, you need a sponsor, and you need an advocate.
Oh yeah.
And that in terms of adults and young people, because having a sponsor, like you said, our brother Hudson, is just, in a room, being in a room and not being in the room. that sponsor really is there, either sponsoring you, they're gonna advocate for you as well. And so it really, we don't have time to kind of break all that down, but
Yeah.
is there any more questions, Brother Raheem?
Yeah, we got one more question. We got a few more questions, but we can lump it up into one. So first is for someone who is not with, because the 100, how do they get involved with like being in some type of mentorship program? The next one is there a success story of any program so far, and where can we find that information at so we could check it out?
Well, I'll take some of the success story, and I could answer some of the others, but I think it's important to be able to display a success story. I can take a product of the 100. It's Richard Webb. Richard Webb was a mentee when he was in his youth, and he's very open about this. He was in trouble. There was all kinds of things he was getting into, but the 100 kind of guided him to a place that he was in the Black History Challenge. He was always had a mentor. He was always doing things. Fast forward to this day, now he's the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club, which has 14 locations, and he's doing wonderful things. Now, that's just one of the many stories. But what I can tell you is that mentorship does work. And I see Judah. I don't want to bust through it, but there's people that are asking questions. But I think even call the office of the 100 and come down to the office and talk to us. And I gotta say one more thing is that we're not the be all end all. There's other organizations too out there too. But what we're saying is that they got Boys and Girls Club, you got your church, you got the schools. There's a lot of things that you can be involved in. So when I saw the question that was asked, well, what about this program? We're speaking specifically of what we do, but there's other programs too that you can be involved in also. So I see Marcus wanted to chime in too. So I'll let you chime in, Marcus.
Yeah, I just went ahead and added our website to the chat there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you said, there is also other programs. Tonight, what we're speaking about is mentorship that we see it through the lens of our eyes and through the 100 Black men.
That's right.
And one thing I always say, we're the FUBU of mentoring, for us, by us.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say
So that's the one thing about us.
I love that, Eric, the FUBU of mentoring. And
I'll say this real quick. I've been doing this again for 33 years. I've been part of different organizations, mentoring groups. This one's different in the fact that it's more of a brotherhood, okay? Not only with the mentees, but with the men in the group. They give you the good training, but they also have different events where all the mentors can come together. Now, to me, that's critically important. Why is it critically important that we have our young men into these mentoring programs? Because society has shown they need those connections. If they're going to get somewhere in life, like right now, if my mentee asks me something about a financial, I'm not a financial guy, but I can call Guillermo and I can call him. That's key.
Guillermo. Yeah. Right on. You guys, we're on the hour. We're over the hour. But as we close, I would love to give each of you really a closing opportunity to give a closing statement. If you commit to keeping it within 1 minute, which is 60 seconds. Okay.
Oh, I can handle that one.
Okay, so go ahead, man. What's on your mind? And give us your not so much an elevator speech, but just how do we? I want you to focus on, because remember, this platform is moving people to action. So really think about your closing statement in that fashion.
Well, I would say that mentoring, whether it be with 100 or any of these other great organizations, is not just about mentor-mentee. It is walking into someone's life, walking beside them for the long term. And as a part of that, I always think about my mentoring is not just about talking to my mentee, him talking to me, but it's really his family. I know everyone in his entire family. I know his mother, I know his grandmother. I know his great grandmother, his uncle, his aunt. I mean, it's all a part of it. So I'm a known quantity in their household, and I think if we're going to be effective mentors and continue to do what we need to do in our community, it's about that true family. Family and mentoring go hand in
Right
hand,
on.
and all together.
Next, Eric.
And I take myself off the mute. I just say, you can either be part of the solution or part of the problem. We choose, and just like any other mentoring organization, we choose to be part of the solution because we value our young people. We want to prevent them from getting into trouble, so then that way we don't have to get them out of trouble.
That's what's up. Right on. Who's next?
Well, I'll piggyback that one since you mentioned trouble and I got this uniform on. Okay. I'll say this here. I'd rather spend hundreds of hours each year talking to these kids, playing with the kids, mentoring these kids, instead of walking them down around the courthouse and walking them into a courtroom and walking them back to the youth center. I'll do that each and every year if I have to.
Right on. Right on. Brother Brian.
I'll be short. I know you said that because of me. I like to, but
Because Brian he's a true sales guy, guys. One of the best.
My platform.
One of the best. That's his profession. So
I'm excited, but
I'm just trying to manage expectations. That's all.
There we go. I got you. It takes a village.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of sums it up. And I don't want to be too cliche about that, but it does take a village. And one more thing is that I said earlier is that we have to look at this as an obligation.
Yeah.
And when we write our goals down and when we set the things that we're trying to achieve, it needs to be a part of that goals that we're setting is who are we going to mentor today? And whose life are we going to try to impact and make better? So two things, takes a village and make this an obligation.
Right on. Brother Malcolm.
So I'm gonna just say, I was told a long time ago. I'm 43 years old, but somebody told me when I was like 18 or 19. They said their obligation for me was when they made it up over the hill, their job was not to pull the rope up so nobody else can make it. Also, their job was to leave the rope and help somebody get to the rope so they can make it over. Also, so that's what mentoring is really doing for me. It's guiding them to that rope so they can get from where they're at to another level.
Right.
So I say to anybody, if somebody helped you, help somebody else.
That's right.
Because if you're not helping somebody else, you're pulling the rope.
Wow. Marcus, you're a fearless leader, man. You're the executive director of the 100. We're gonna leave it with you, bro. Go ahead and do what you do.
All right. Well, the last couple of years with the pandemic coming and the social justice that's been happening, it's just really important for us as men to step up for our young men, especially with us being the 100 Black men, stepping up for our young Black male youth, because they need to see that we have their back. They need to see that we're going to advocate for them. We're going to walk beside them. We're going to be there to listen to whatever is going on. There's lots of things going on with mental health, especially being isolated, seeing things like George Floyd on TV. That does something to your brain.
Yeah, that's right.
It does something to your mental. So I think it's extremely important for us to step up for our young men and be there. My last mentee, Jamal, he when he was graduating, he said, "Hey, there was never a time that I knew you weren't going to be there. Like, you showed up.
Wow.
You really showed up for me."
That's what's up.
And that hit me. That touched my heart. So it's just very important that we step up, we be there for our young men, because they're watching all of us. Whether we're there for them or not, they're watching us. So it's time for us to step up as Black men, It's time for us to step up as people.
Right on.
Are you?
Right on. I really appreciate you guys for taking the time and mostly appreciate the leadership of the organization board. We have several board members on this panel and our leadership in terms of Marcus. Thank you for what you do to make a difference. And with that, we're going to leave it there. And so we have information out there. If you have questions, Marcus put the website, the 100 Black Men of Omaha's website is there. There's other, you do not have to be a member of the 100 Black Men to be a mentor, to become a mentor. And so if you want to just inquire about how to become a mentor through our organization, that information is out there. There's other organizations out there nationally. If you are on this feed and there's chapters in Atlanta, New York, all over the United States, pretty much, that you can jump in terms of just get information through the 100 Black Men of America with all the chapters that we have in the United States. So with that, I want to thank Raheem Sanders for being a contributor. Jessica, I want to thank her for being a producer and what she has done really to help she's going to be moving on. So I just want to thank her publicly for helping us really get this up and out in terms of moving people to action. And this is a monthly platform that we try to bring subject matter experts to the table to continue not only to inform, but we want to listen, learn, and move to action. So with that, thank you. And really, as we look at a responsibility in terms of health, our health and wellness, this is the year. Some people say, Brian, you guys, that this is the year of the tiger, right? But for me, this is the year of health, Eric. Focusing on health. And I know that we're still in January. And so we look at, everybody make their New Year's resolutions and things like that. For me, it's health. It is health and wellness. And if we focus on that, the rest will follow. So thank you guys so much. God bless you, and do what's necessary to be good to yourself.
Thank you for having us, Tim.
on,
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate having me.
Thank you.
Good to see y'all.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night, night.